What's up, everybody? Dave from Fan Futsal here, coming to you from the West Coast. It is about 6:30 in the morning on Saturday, November 18th. I'm in a 900 square foot apartment. My lovely wife is asleep in the next room. Do my best to keep it down. Have a feeling I am going to wake her. Just watched the North London Derby between Arsenal and Tottenham. Arsenal won 2-0. Going to run through my thoughts from the match, give you a breakdown, thoughts before the match, first half, second half, and then in conclusion. So before the match came out, happy to see Arsenal finally giving Lacazette a start up top, paid a bunch of money for him. He's been performing well in substitute appearances, thought it was good to get him out there. They had matching formations, basically both in a 3-4-2-1 formation. I thought that Tottenham was going to be the more physical side with Sissoko in there over Winks. That didn't end up proving to be the case, but I thought, looking at the lineups before the match, that Tottenham was going to come out and try to boss Arsenal physically. Didn't end up happening. Ramsey and Xhaka, I thought, was an interesting center midfield pairing from Arsenal. They've proven in the past to have some trouble and discipline maintaining position and shape, but that wasn't the case throughout the match. So again, proved wrong in my pre-match assumptions. First half, it's a derby match, so understandably chaotic, sloppy. Both clubs were kind of amped up, misplaced passes and so on and so forth, a lot of fouls. Again, what you'd expect from a derby. Lacazette had a good turnover in the first 5 minutes on Dyer, led to a great chance, thought he needed to hit the net. And then in the 6th minute, Kane came right back for Tottenham and actually did make Petr Cech work after Koscielny's mistake. It's early, so just bear with me here. I apologize for my stumbles. I thought Koscielny, especially early on, first 10 to 15 minutes, looked really, really shaky and nervy for somebody who's got a ton of experience and was Arsenal's captain. I thought that was interesting to see. He had a misplaced pass, a couple of misplaced passes, actually, some poor touches, misjudged the header that led to Kane's breakaway. So I thought that was interesting to see. He did end up settling down, though, so credit to him. Dembele, I am a huge Moussa Dembele fan. I have loved him since, I believe he was at Fulham. I loved him there. I think he's just so good in possession and so strong. There was one instance where he beat 4 Arsenal players with a simple touch, and I thought he played pretty well throughout. Thought it was interesting that he was withdrawn for Winks. I'll talk about that later. Tottenham looked like a pep team playing out of the back. They were passing dangerously and especially on the goal kicks. This was mainly in the first half, so I thought that was interesting. 12th minute, I have to shout this out. Mustafi hit that driven ball over the top right into Sanchez, who was streaking, who played a great one-time headed pass into Lacazette's path. Didn't end up coming out, but I love a good long ball. I know the game is moving to possession soccer, and I do love and appreciate that, but there is almost nothing better than an excellent hit long ball. It is fantastic to see. Tottenham did well pressing high. I thought they had a good run of the match in the first probably 10 to 15 minutes for Tottenham. Then Arsenal took over. Tottenham had another brief period, but Arsenal very much the better side in the first half and really throughout the match. 19th minute, Ramsey had a great splitting through ball to Bellerin, who was crashing in. Ultimately couldn't get a touch on it. Lacazette across the 6-yard box, but again, really, really fantastic pass. Great run from Bellerin there. One thing I noticed from Tottenham, especially in the first half, but throughout the match, a style that they like to play on defense is a very pressing style, and specifically in the midfield at an attack, you would see 5 men within probably like a 20-yard radius of the ball, very, very condensed, and I thought that was interesting and just sort of fascinating to see their sort of pressing style versus other pressing styles. I thought that theirs was very condensed in a specific area. Arsenal started to look better from the 15th minute on. Sanchez throughout the match, Arsenal Sanchez throughout the match had his temperament just always rubs me the wrong way. I'm somebody who likes teammates that support each other, and he is always throwing his hands up and complaining, and it just rubs me the wrong way, and I think it rubs off on the team. Ultimately, he had a fantastic match, and it didn't really impact his team, but I did just want to throw that out. Eriksen hit the post in the 33rd minute after a good cutback from Davies. That was really good. Eriksen to create his own space and hit that shot. Also wanted to shout out Harry Kane, specifically in the first half and his first couple chances. He just gets in the right spots and hits the target to make a goalkeeper work, and that puts opposing defenses and goalkeepers just on edge. If they know a striker is going to hit the net, they just put more pressure on themselves and put more pressure on the team, and ultimately it it didn't amount to anything, but I just want to shout him out because I love the way that he plays. And I was somebody early on in his career, wasn't a big believer in him. So did just want to call that out. And right after I wrote that note down, he missed his next couple shots and didn't hit the target. But early on, I think he's good and very, very clinical. Got to talk about Arsenal's first goal. I did not believe it was a foul. Sanchez on Sanchez crime. I thought Tottenham Sanchez just played good defense. I thought he got his body in the way. There wasn't a ton of grabbing. I know Mike Dean was signaling that there was grabbing. I didn't see any grabbing. Having said that, Ozil hit a great kick. Mustafi may have been a hair offsides, but for me, I'm fine letting that play. And so I was okay with that going. And the free kick wasn't hit with a ton of pace. So I thought Mustafi did incredibly well to kind of come back and really generate a ton of power with that header. Obviously, fantastic placement as well. Really, really good goal. Second Arsenal goal. I thought Lacazette actually waited too long. I was clearly very, very wrong. When the play was unfolding, I thought, oh, he killed his angle. He wasn't going to be able to get it across. I was clearly very wrong. Great ball across with pace, and Sanchez just did fantastic to touch that down, hit it second touch, I believe what it was, and lifted over Lloris, who was charging out. So just an overall second goal. And for me, I don't think it was offsides by Lacazette on that match. I know that it was close. Overall, I thought Arsenal was the better squad throughout. Tottenham had periods of good play, but I thought Arsenal was definitely better throughout the match, but specifically the first half. Going into the second half, I thought the Kane yellow, which was the first kind of notable play in the second half, was a bit yellow, was a bit soft. I thought he made a genuine attempt to play the ball, and there was fairly minimal contact. I mean, I guess he came through the back and was slightly dangerous, but for me, the way the match was going, I thought that was a soft yellow to give. I want to shout out the Emirates, which is notorious for not having the best atmosphere. That was an amazing atmosphere, probably the best I can recall hearing. Obviously, I wasn't there in person, but hearing at a match through the television, it just looked absolutely amazing. Game really started to open up as Tottenham tried to press in the second half. Ultimately, no goals. I thought that there was going to be at least 2 goals. I thought probably each side would get 1 goal. I thought Arsenal would get a third, and then Tottenham would get a consolation goal late. That proved to be incorrect. Ended up being 2-0 at the end. Ramsey was slipping all over the field in the second half in dangerous spots. They need to get him some new boots or something like that. But ultimately didn't prove to be a problem. Dele Alli, I did not think had a good match. He was looking slow, misplaced passes. He was looking slow specifically on the ball, just with his decision making, and he wasn't dangerous. He wasn't his dangerous self. I know all he needs is 1 moment, but he didn't get that 1 moment. So overall, I thought he had a pretty poor game. I disagreed with Winks on for Dembele. I personally would have brought him on for Sissoko or Dele. I really would have brought him on for Dele Alli. Tottenham's defensive line when they had possession in Arsenal's half was absolutely suicidally high, and that's why I was shocked to not see a goal in the second half. I mean, Dyer, Sanchez, and Vertonghen were, I don't know, maybe 40 yards at most from Arsenal's goal. Shocked that Arsenal didn't get a break in the second half. I do want to shout out Tottenham Sanchez. I know he's new to the Premier League, and the fact that he's adapted and played so well throughout the season is incredible from my perspective. It's so tough to come into a new league and adapt and integrate into a new team, and he's done it fantastically. So wanted to shout him out, even though they lost. Dean had a good moment when he played advantage to come back and book Monreal on the Mike Dean had a good advantage and then came back to book Monreal on the tackle on, I think it was Dele Alli. I don't remember who, but wanted to give him a shout out. I wrote down when Coquelin was coming onto the field, I wrote smart from Wenger to withdraw Xhaka because I thought Xhaka was towing the line between getting a second yellow. I was misplaced at writing that down because Xhaka wasn't coming off. Coquelin came on for ultimately Lacazette. I thought that was a bold strategy to really batten down the hatches and really just go all out defensive, and ultimately it proved to be the right decision. But I thought that could come back to bite them. Agreed with Dele Alli coming out when ultimately Son and Llorente came onto the field, but I didn't agree with Kane coming out. And I'll talk about exactly why, because there was a chance late in the match and Son blasted it over. If Kane's in that position, I think that's at least on target, likely in the back of the net. I thought, and also Son, I think, is better in the role that Sissoko was playing. Even though Sissoko was more central, I think you could have bumped Son out wide, and that would have been more successful. But who am I to question Pochettino? I know he obviously knows better than me, but those were just some of my thoughts. Big save from Lloris in the 76th minute on Sanchez to keep Tottenham in the match, and then Cech came back 5 minutes later with a fantastic save on a Dyer header. And so both goalkeepers had great moments in the second half to really cement their team's results, I'll say, or at least Lloris to give his team hope, Cech to keep his team in the lead. On the break in the 83rd minute, when Arsenal was flooding numbers forward, Ozil is just so composed on the ball, and he's so underrated a lot of times, especially with his passing. And I thought he was fantastic to wait and to play that ball across to Bellerin as pretty much, his players were going across, dragging the Tottenham players across. Bellerin ultimately took a poor first touch, which allowed Tottenham to get back in, but that was a fantastic ball. Arsenal can't let him get that open. And so this was, I can't remember my own notes. So this goes back to the Son chance. So Tottenham played a great ball in. Llorente wins a fantastic header. Arsenal cannot let Son get that wide open at that moment. So they did, and ultimately were lucky that Son blasted it over. Again, if Kane was still in the match, or at least if Kane was in that position over Son, I think that's in the back of the net. So Arsenal was fortunate to be there. 88th minute, Sanchez, pretty selfish. Arsenal Sanchez was pretty selfish not to lay the ball off to Iwobi, who was at the top of the box, wide open, and he dwelled on the ball, ultimately played it across to Bellerin, but that killed the chance. I thought he should have played in Iwobi. I don't know what was going on there. 90th minute, Xhaka hit that free kick. Looked like a deflection. Whether it was or not, Sanchez runs out of position to go yell at the assistant referee. Arsenal Sanchez ultimately didn't amount to anything, but I just don't even know why he's doing things like that. And he can be such a frustrating player sometimes, because then like a minute or two later, Arsenal plays a ball over the top. Sanchez runs it down, does incredibly well to cut in front of Tottenham Sanchez. Lloris makes a great save, and then Arsenal Sanchez runs the ball down and ultimately doesn't get there. But then he shows so much heart in other situations, which makes him such a frustrating player. Ultimately, Arsenal better throughout the match. They were better in defense, and they were more clinical in attack, and ultimately made for a pretty fantastic derby, especially with the atmosphere there. That was our rapid match recap. I'm going to be doing so that was the North London Derby this morning. I'm going to try to do one for the Rome Derby in a couple hours, and then a Madrid Derby one later today. Lots of derbies today. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts. If you disagree, agree. I always like hearing agree as well in the comment section. Any suggestions and whatnot, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.